Still got some people rolling in here, but let's get started in about 30 seconds.
Mark, I see we have West Point Mayor Cerisi with us. It's wonderful to have you with us. Thank you.
Excellent. Welcome, Mayor.
Who else are we missing who's an elected official? Oh, Larry Pruse from New Richmond. Good to see you, Larry. Great.
Good to see you, Brewster, and congratulations on your family.
Yep, I'm here in Italy having a great time. It's 4 o'clock.
So we still got people rolling in here, but let's go ahead and hop in here. It's almost 10:03. We got a tight hour. We got a lot to cover, so let's go ahead and jump in. Welcome everyone to our spring Ohio Riverway Coalition meeting. These meetings are a great opportunity to share updates up and down the river, highlight projects, and start dialogue among communities and organizations as part of our coalition. So welcome and thank you all so much for taking the time to be with us here this morning. As Brewster just mentioned, he is across the pond in Italy for his daughter's wedding this week, but still tuning in with us. So great to see you, Brewster, and glad that you were able to make it this morning.
Thank you.
So just a quick rundown of the agenda, which should be shared on the screen here. So we'll kick it off with some big news out of Ohio and Governor DeWine's announcement of the Wonderful Waterfronts Initiative. We'll touch on that briefly. We'll then turn it over to our friends in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, to give a brief update on the Lawrenceburg Riverwalk project. We'll also cover the brand new Kentucky-Ohio River Regional Recreation Authority, or CORA. I'll then turn it over to our friends with the National Park Service, John and Jerry, to give an update on the National Water Trail designation that we are pursuing. We'll then turn it over to Dr. David Wicks to give an overview and update on our upcoming Ohio Riverway Challenge. We want to introduce our new travel writer, Jessica. We'll provide a brief update on the Ohio River Basin Restoration Plan, and hopefully hear from Jordan from the National Wildlife Federation. And then we look forward to turning it over to Dr. Carolina Segura with the University of Kentucky Landscape Architecture Program and the summer interns in Maysville, Kentucky. And then we'll turn it over to Paul to give an update on the Ohio River Valley Innovation, Library, and Learning Enhancement Project. I don't know if I got that quite right, but the ORW project, they have a new website. I'm really excited to share that. And hopefully we'll have some time at the end to go around the room and share any other good news that folks have. We will try our best to answer questions as they pop up throughout the meeting, but we do want to keep people on time and get us out of here by 11 a.m. So if we do run out of time for questions, feel free to drop those in the chat or send us a quick note after the meeting, and we'll be sure to follow up with you. So that's the overview of the agenda. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And we were going to have Frances Kern-Manone come in and talk a little bit about the Appalachian Community Grant Program. Unfortunately, she is unable to make it this morning, so I'm going to try to pinch hit a little bit in her place. So the Appalachian Community Grant Program, that's an Ohio statewide program. A big announcement just came out from Governor DeWine, known as the Wonderful Waterfronts Initiative. And the big news is that $75 million was allocated to Ohio River communities in our stretch. And so this is a huge deal for our riverfront communities in Ohio, and something that we have been working toward with these communities for a long time to enhance their riverfronts and enhance their connections between those communities and the Ohio River. So just a thrilling announcement for our riverfront communities. This includes almost $35 million going to the city of Portsmouth, over $16 million going to the village of Ripley, $6 million going to the village of Higginsport, $13 million going to the village of New Richmond, and over $5 million going to the city of Ironton. So really big deal, very exciting announcement, and we're thrilled in this statewide investment from the state of Ohio and Governor DeWine. Unless there's any other questions or comments on that, I am ready to turn it over to our friends in the city of Lawrenceburg to talk a little bit about their Lawrenceburg Riverwalk project. This is something that we had hoped to highlight in our last coalition meeting, didn't quite get to it in time, but we're thrilled to be joined by Brian and Joy from the city of Lawrenceburg. And so I will go ahead and turn it over to them to give a brief update on the Lawrenceburg Riverwalk.
Well, good morning. My name is Brian Messmore, and on the screen I am Joy, and she is assisting, and I appreciate her setting the slides up so we can share with you the Lawrenceburg Riverwalk project and where we're at in the current status of that. And on behalf of Mayor Milan, we're happy to share that with you. As you see here, this is just the overall view of our what we're calling Riverwalk. It includes a new dock system, a new connection to the levee, and some enhancement along the current Dearborn Trail that connects Lawrenceburg and the beautiful city of Aurora just downstream. If you're not familiar with Lawrenceburg, we're a river city, but we have a horrible view of the river because we have a levee. So citizens, particularly visitors, could come to town and not even know we have a river. So this is our opportunity to make a connection to the river from our beautiful downtown. Joy? All right, so let's talk about the river walk, as you see right here in front of Ivy Tech Community College and the Hilton Doubletree. We're making some additional resting spaces, places to communicate, sit down, have a cup of coffee. Actually, we now have a Dora, so much to my delight, we could have a cold beer and sit out there. To right here, we're adding this structure already exists to our current dock system, which is in not the best shape. That's a good way to put it. This is a new connection. It's much more ADA compliant. It's very, very close to complete compliance. So we'll have an additional way, and this is the terminus of Walnut Street, our main street through downtown, which connects to Highway 50 to the north. So this is our connection point, bringing Lawrenceburg to the river. The dock system is much larger than we have now. It's 5. And as a matter of fact, we had an update meeting this morning. Well, actually, so you can see Walnut Street there, and this is the connection where the new gangway will be to make the second connection to the docking system. Let's go back, Joy, to the picture, the other picture. That'll work. So in fact, we had an update meeting this morning. This is going to require 5 barges. We are proceeding with construction drawings on those barges. We're still waiting for the Corps and our local conservancy district to give us final approval to get into some more details. We have 2 restaurants planned on this new docking system. The existing restaurant owner will take occupancy of this, and then we will have an additional local restaurateur occupy the second restaurant structure. Downriver of this is where we have additional places for transient boats, of which now have a very difficult time docking alongside the restaurant. It's in the current, and it's as you're aware, we're on the outside bend of a river, so it's a bit of a chore to park your boat and get off and get back in there. So we have enhanced our ability for transient boats to get out of the current and park comfortably and enjoy our new waterfront park area. I think the rest of it speaks for itself. We have the current gangway here. We're going to fix that up a little differently, improve the walkway here. This is the current walkway. And we are looking at a probably 24 to 30 month project timeline on that from today. But, and also, it does have the capacity along the riverfront or the riverside docking area to potentially receive a river cruise ship that may be choosing to head our way. I think that summarizes pretty much of what we got going on. Another
Fine,
view
thank
of
you.
the, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for that overview. Just wanted to open up to any questions that anybody has for Brian and Joy in Lawrenceburg regarding their project.
Again, Mark, I got one question, or just a couple questions real quick. How is this, is this dock gonna stay out year round in the river?
The dock will, that's correct.
Okay, and then how's it gonna be secured? Because we're just looking at a couple plans for a couple other locations on the Ohio River.
Well, how it's secured now was when the original Argosy Casino was here. It's moored to like a dolphin.
Okay.
So there will be multiple dolphins throughout the docking structure, and the gangways elevate with the dock as it rises.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that information.
Happy to share.
Hey, I have a question as well. This is Christy Knoll. Hey, as we are trying to preserve your view shed across the river, will people be able to put in is there a paddle launch there for kayaks and canoes?
They would probably get in at Tanner's Creek boat ramp. We do have a paddle launch there.
Okay. Okay.
I've got a question for Joey. New Richmond is also on the bottom end of a curve in the river, and obviously that means quite a collection of interesting driftwood and other things that come down the river. What have you done to mitigate that issue with your client?
We have a diverter. Also, I'm sorry I left that out. We do have a diverter planned as part of the design, which would go, obviously upriver, and potentially catch, hopefully, most, but obviously there's going to be some maintenance with a dock system like this and the location where we're at along the river. But hopefully the diverter will do the work, the majority of the work.
Is that sort of a pontoon device?
Pardon me?
Is that the diverter sort of a pontoon device?
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to congratulate you. I think it's a wonderful plan. I wanted to emphasize what Christy Knowles said, and it's an issue for many river towns up and down the area to think about the view shed on the other side of the river in a different state. And so how the Ohio Riverway can support Christy Knowles' efforts to preserve your view shed, I think would be a fascinating regional approach.
Awesome.
I have one question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Larry Brandstetter. I'm in Covington. How are you guys financing this project? In a nutshell, can you give a quick response?
Yeah. Well, we also coincidentally today just reviewed our latest budget numbers. We just got our bids or quotes back on the barges themselves. So based on that number, we will be probably using some cash and bonding the balance.
Okay. We're doing.
Could you go ahead, Lawrence.
Yeah, we're doing a similar project down in Owensboro, and I was just curious if you're doing cash and geo bonds and all that good stuff. Did anybody try any tax increment financing or anything like that?
Yeah, it'll be a combination of all three. I would think our financial advisor, now that we have a pretty solid number, will be, checking out what the best model is for us. But I would think it'll be all three. That is a tip. We are in a TIF area there, and so my guess is that we would choose to capitalize on all three.
Hey,
Very good.
folks.
Thank you.
Hey, folks, thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad that these presentations are generating so many questions, and they're wonderful questions. For the sake of getting through our agenda today, we do need to move on, but if you do have additional questions, please drop those in the chat or send those to us afterward, and we can certainly relay those to the folks at the City of Lawrenceburg and for follow-up after this meeting. But excellent questions, and thank you all so much. And so when we talk about building a connected network of land and water trails and increasing access points to the Ohio River, this is exactly the type of project that we're talking about. And so kudos to the City of Lawrenceburg and kudos to Dearborn County in Indiana for really leading the way. This is a fantastic project, and certainly with the addition of the riverfront projects that will be taking place with the wonderful Waterfronts Initiative in Ohio, there's so much momentum going on. And so not to forget about the state of Kentucky, we have some things going on here as well in Kentucky. And so I wanted to highlight just really briefly the Kentucky Ohio River Regional Recreation Authority, or CORA. And this is brand new. This just passed through the Kentucky State Legislature this spring. And so this is an initiative that the Ohio Riverway led and lobbied for and pushed for with the support of the Owsley Brown II Family Foundation and the University of Louisville. And so we're thrilled about this. This authority will be eligible to all 25 Kentucky counties that bound the Ohio River. And once 11 counties sign resolutions in support of the authority will go live. And that will need to be after the date of July 1st, 2024. So once we have those 11 counties join on to this authority, the Kentucky Department of Local Government will be the authorizing entity and will convene those counties that join on to develop bylaws and an executive committee to really kick this authority off. And so we're super excited to continue to spread the word about this authority up and down the river, and we will certainly need the support of our coalition to help build support for this authority as we work our way up and down the river and connect with the judge executives in each of these 25 counties. We do not currently have an appropriation for this authority yet. We hope this will come in a future legislative session very soon. We are following the model of the Kentucky Mountain Regional Recreation Authority, which is an existing authority in Kentucky. They just received I believe a $3 million appropriation from the state this past spring. And so we hope to follow in their footsteps in the coming years. So really thrilled about this authority, and kudos to Dr. David Wicks for being the brainchild of this wonderful idea and authority. And we're looking forward to moving this forward and helping Kentucky catch up with our friends in Indiana and Ohio on their wonderful riverfront projects.
And I'll just add, this was a markedly quick process, and it was heartening to see the support in the General Assembly. I mean, between David Wicks thinking up this idea and the governor signing it was like 2, maybe 3 months. Just so quick.
Truly remarkable, the support that it received. Fantastic.
It is a very good thing, and between now and July 1st, if you know Kentucky county judges, it's up to us to encourage them to submit a resolution that is passed by their court after July 1, and hopefully sometime there soon afterwards. It really is an opportunity to talk with folks about the economic value, the community, the quality of life value, and just the fun on the river.
Excellent. Very good.
Who's the best person to talk to at Ohio Riverway about organizing some of these county judges up and down the river? Is somebody leading that effort, or would that go back to DLG?
I would say that the Ohio Riverway is an advisory group that the Kentucky Department of Local Government will have their liaisons with each county government communicating with the county judges. So the official request will come through the Department of Local Government. I see our role as supporting. So when something does land in the county judge's email or in wherever it comes from, they have an idea of what it is and the potential that it could bring.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and just one thing that we are looking to do potentially in the next couple of months is reaching out through the area development districts to introduce the authority and connect with those county leaders as well. Excellent. Okay. In the interest of time, we do need to move forward onto our next item. So, as most of you all are aware, we are pursuing a water trail along approximately 325-mile stretch of the Ohio River from roughly Ironton, Ohio, and Ashland, Kentucky, to New Albany, Indiana, and West Point, Kentucky. And so we have developed a partnership with the National Park Service to help pursue our work toward a national water trail designation, which we hope to apply for in November. And through that partnership, we are fortunate enough to have 2 experienced workers on loan to us from the National Park Service. That's John Olivier and Jerry Schulte. And so I want to give them a few minutes just to update us on our progress and the work that they have been doing as we pursue this National Water Trail designation. So without further ado, I will turn it over to John and Jerry.
All righty. Thanks, Mark, and good morning, everybody. As Mark said, one of the things that's an integral part of applying for a National Water Trail designation is coming up with a paddling guide to the river that we're dealing with. And so we've been working on that, and this will be the initial paddling guide to the Ohio River Way. And an important point I wanted to make also is a lot of the information in this, there's a focus on paddling. It's called the paddling guide, obviously, but there's a lot of reference, and this very much pertains to power and recreational boating as well. So we're really trying to hit both of the major user groups on the river. The guide will have tons of good information on safety, navigation, and kind of the unique thing on the Ohio, dealing with commercial traffic while you're in a 14-foot canoe and a 1,000-foot long barge is sharing the river with you. It'll also contain good information on water quality and river conditions and how to access that information before you head out paddling. And one of the really cool things about the Ohio, and I don't have to, I'm preaching to the choir here, is there's such a neat combination of different paddling experiences available. And again, this pertains to boating as well. So there's a description of kind of the different types of experiences that are available in the guide as well. Kind of broke it down into about five different areas. There's what we'll call the metropolitan Ohio River, and those are those really neat stretches where you can actually paddle among skyscrapers, basically. That's a pretty neat experience. Now, on the other end of the spectrum is experiences, and again, these are just descriptions that we just came up with, called the hillsides and river towns. And this is kind of the bulk of the Ohio, peaceful wooded hills surrounding the river on both sides, and tons of charming and welcoming river towns all along the way. Another example of an experience available is all the significant tributaries to the Ohio River. You can paddle down the Ohio, or you could pop into a river town, let's say Portsmouth, and head up the Scioto River. So that's a whole different experience. A lot of times you'll get a little bit more sheltered water, and maybe you'll get to do some paddle boarding. Another one that is out there, and it may not pertain to everybody, we'll just call it the adventure and discovery experience. And these are all the 10 trillion little tributaries that enter the Ohio, with basically, there may not be any paddling or boating information on it. And it gives folks, and that's kind of the whole point. It's a whole different experience. It's almost, in some points, you could say a near wilderness experience. And it's an opportunity for paddlers and maybe smaller recreational boaters to kind of explore up those little streams. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to encourage those folks to provide a trip report then, so we can start building a resource on those little adventures. And the last one is the locks and dams on the river provide an experience as well, if not just looking at them. Recreational boaters and paddlers as well can actually go through a lock, which would be quite the interesting experience. One of the other things that we've done to organize the guide is we've broken the Ohio River Way, which is now it's over 300 miles long, into 10 sections. And the sections the title section does not denote a trip. It's really more of a manageable way of breaking the Ohio River Way up into sections where we can still provide, they're small enough in length that we can really provide a focus on the river towns in those sections. And that's been a goal throughout. And that's actually where you guys come in. And I'm going to try to share my screen here. And hopefully that came up and everybody can see that. This is a hand drawn, so it's not anywhere near official yet. Drawing of a section description. So we'll have all the text and narrative on safety and navigation and water quality and all that stuff. But we'll also have 10 section descriptions that will look something like this. And what we're
John,
doing,
if you slide your screen up just a little bit, we may be able to see the whole piece. And we'll have about 1 or 2 more minutes here.
Okay, does that help out?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks for pointing that out. But anyway, this is what it could potentially look like. And we are populating each section with this information right now. The basic information. But here's where a lot of folks on the call here or during this meeting are eventually going to come in. We're going to populate this as much as we can, but we need and want your input. You folks know the little ins and outs of all of these sections way better than we do. So we're going to get to a point here in the next few weeks and certainly in June to get information out to you guys for input. And I'll harken back and then I'll be done. For those of you who attended the summit last year, we had a really cool, fun exercise where people came up with the neat little quirky, unique things in their community. And so you've kind of had a taste of that, and that's what we're going to be looking at. We'll get this information out to you, and we'll be hoping to get some really great input because, again, you guys, we want this to reflect what your thoughts are on what are the best places and things to do in your section. And that's it.
Excellent. Thank you, John.
Okay, and I'm going to try to unshare here. There we go.
Very good. Well, yeah, so we're thrilled to be pursuing this National Water Trail designation, and so I know that Jerry Schulte will be out as well in the coming weeks and months, working with access point managers to identify locations for specific signage and also any additional improvements that need to be made at those access points. And so if you are an access point manager, please stay tuned and be on the lookout for communication from Jerry Schulte in the coming weeks as we move this forward. And the last thing I'll mention is we will certainly be looking for letters of support from our Ohio Riverway communities up and down the river as part of our application for this national watershed designation. So more to follow on that in the coming weeks and months as well. In the interest of time, we're going to keep on cruising along here. I'm going to do a little bit of reshuffling and want to introduce Jordan Lebetkin and the Ohio River Basin Restoration Plan. And as most of you all know, the Ohio Riverway has taken an active interest and role in supporting the Ohio River Basin Restoration Plan alongside our partners from certainly the National Wildlife Federation, from ORWA, or the Ohio River Basin Alliance, from Orsenco, from Kentucky Waterways Alliance, and a number of other organizations throughout the basin. And Forrest and I were just in Washington, D.C. as part of the Ohio River Basin Hill Day last week, advocating for the restoration plan, sharing information about the Ohio Riverway, and receiving updates on the status of the restoration plan. And so we're thrilled to be joined this morning by Jordan Lebetkin, who's leading up the effort for the restoration plan with the National Wildlife Federation. And so, Jordan, if you could, in just a few minutes, give us a brief update on where we stand with the restoration plan, what comes next, and how our coalition can help support this effort.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, and thanks all the folks at Ohio Riverway, Forrest and David, Mark, and Brewster, really being great partners. You guys are doing awesome work, and I think it's going to take all of us to push this across the finish line. You know, this is the result of a lot of groups, the Ohio River Basin Alliance, foremost among them, Orsenco, and a lot of NGOs, a lot of folks on this call. So where we are now, we are vetting and editing sort of the kind of draft plan. I think the plan is to get this to the larger work group. For those of you who may not be familiar with this process, the Ohio River Basin Alliance put together 2 work groups, one led by myself and the National Wildlife Federation, one led by Richard Harrison, who is the executive director of the Ohio River Valley Water Sanitation Commission. And the plan has kind of been a collaboration between these 2 large work groups that includes members from academia, NGOs, state and federal fish and wildlife agencies, the business sector, utility sector, and a lot of folks. That plan is, I was just reading it before this call. We're still editing it. But the goal is to get that to the larger work group, or work groups, plural, which is about 160 folks. And then the status is to get it, or the next stage is to get it to Richard and the Orsenco commissioners, who are sort of serving as proxies and liaisons to the state governors, and that's in mid-June. And, you know, fingers crossed, the goal is to get this out for public comment in mid-summer, mid to late summer. I'm hoping mid-summer. And this has been 2+ years of work. There have been some momentum shifts here and there, but this is all part of the sausage making. And I think it's safe to say we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The EPA released, for those of you who are familiar with the EPA's Clean Watershed Needs Assessment, they released that data, which is about 5 years overdue, just last week. And that provides really fresh, up-to-date, hot off the press numbers that really get at sort of what the need is to sort of tackle some of these threats, like inadequate water infrastructure, runoff pollution, acid mine drainage and mining issues, farm runoff, urban runoff. So, you know, we're really excited about that, first and foremost, because we've done a lot of work to sort of describe the scale of issues we need to address. And a little bit of a sticky issue is, how do you put a cost associated with that need? And I think the EPA's release of that data is timely, fortuitous, and well received. So, you know, and just so we're not being obtuse here, when we talk about confronting the host of issues that confront the region, and let's be sure to say that I know one of Ohio Riverway's talking points, like, look, since the 60s and 70s, we have made a lot of progress, right? We had the Clean Water Act, Clean Air Act. We've had a multi-billion-dollar infusion of money for water infrastructure in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and we still have EPA programs that continue to do that on an annual appropriations basis. You know, that said, the job's not done. For those of you familiar with the Biden administration's bipartisan infrastructure law. That was a $50 billion infusion of funding nationally to help get us back on track with water infrastructure. Although if you look at statistics from folks like the American Society of Civil Engineers, we're facing about a $1 trillion with a T, $1 trillion water infrastructure backlog. So, you know, not unique to the Ohio River Basin, communities across the region, large and small, from decentralized systems to big municipal systems, all are facing pressure. And so what we're hoping is this plan will give some momentum and be a catalyst for new funds that will not only improve the health of the region, but also open the door to what we were just talking about, access and riverfront development and job creation. And so we're excited about that. We're excited about the scope of the plan. We're excited about the stakeholders. And based on what Mark said, I would totally concur. We're really excited that this sort of multi-stakeholder, broad, diverse, and passionate group of stakeholders is really starting to make our voices heard in DC. And I think we heard from both Republican and Democratic offices. They're on board, they're ready to go. And I think we have really good leadership across the region. So I want to respect the schedule and the agenda. Happy to take questions, but also I'll put my email in the chat. If folks have questions, let me know. But just want to really thank Ohio River Way. Has been a really strong partner. I think you guys are doing awesome work. It's really exciting to see this region grow, develop, and really attract the attention that is deserved of a really great place to live, work, and play. And really excited to be a part of it. So thanks, Mark, for putting me on the agenda.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jordan, and thanks so much for your leadership on this effort. We really do appreciate it, and want to be supportive in any way that we can as the Ohio Riverway Coalition. So I think we maybe have time for maybe one question if anybody has a quick question that they want to throw in there. Otherwise, I know that Jordan just dropped his email in the chat as well, and so folks can follow up directly with Jordan as well following the meeting. Okay. Well, I'm sure people will look forward to following up with you, Jordan. But yeah, thank you again so much for your time this morning. Really do appreciate it. Okay, we're going to keep on cruising along here. And I want to turn it over to Dr. Carolina Segura, who is joining us with her summer intern class in Maysville, Kentucky, on site in Maysville, Kentucky. Dr. Segura is a professor of landscape architecture at the University of Kentucky. We've had a partnership with the Department of Landscape Architecture for the last number of years, thanks to our Vice Chair, Dr. David Wicks and Dr. Segura. They have done excellent work in bringing students and conceptual design and visioning to Carrollton, Kentucky, as well as Milton, Kentucky, and now we'll be doing work in Maysville, Kentucky this summer. So thrilled to introduce Dr. Segura and provide a little bit of information just in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so on some of the work that they have been doing in Ohio River communities and how we can build on some of the success that came out of our Rivertown Review program a number of years ago, build upon some of those ideas and actually turn them into actual conceptual designs and hopeful projects that lead to improvements along our waterfront. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Dr. Segura. Who may be on mute.
All right, there you go. So thank you so much. Just to clarify, I'm not a doctor. I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of Landscape Architecture in the College of Agriculture, Food and Environment. And I teach a 4th-year studio, and I enjoy pretty much taking students to real projects. And I think that's a good way for us to fulfill our mission of a land-grant institution. So we give students opportunities to learn, but then we engage with the communities. And I think it's a little bit of discovering new things as well. So these projects started as a great partnership with the Ohio River Way. These projects wouldn't be that good and exciting without really good partnerships. And that's when, you know, the first trip that we did to the water, and we got the chance to canoe on the Ohio River and the Kentucky River, and that was the first collaboration in Carrollton and Carroll County. I think the final presentation for the project went so well. We have like maybe 12, 15 people from the community showing up. And then at that time, during that project, we met people from the I-71 Development Authority. And they said, well, maybe we can do this next fall, in the fall of 2023. So we started working also with the Kentucky I-71 Development Authority and Trimble County. When we do these projects as part of the studio, we don't get many resources. So, students have to pay for their travel and their meals. So Trimble County was really good with us, and we got the chance to stay in Madison, not Milton, because Milton doesn't have too many hotels where we can stay on. So we went to Madison, we spent there a night, and then we got the chance to experience the city during all times of the day and night, and in the evening, beautiful sunsets in there. And then the next day, we got the chance to go to Payne Hollow. So how do we do a project? It's a 10-week project. The students don't know anything about the site, and then they come up with some great ideas. So I think one of the key things is to learn a lot about each of the projects and the context. So we spent a long time, just a few weeks, just learning as much as we can. We think about, okay, what problem is it that we are trying to solve here? We'll look at case studies and knowing what's happening in Lawrenceburg. I think, another kind of like town that I hope we can go and visit with this new group of students. And then it's a lot of productions. I think when we get into putting things into graphics, things become a lot more real. So creating good graphics that will attract attention, I think, is key for what we do in this studio. It is very overwhelming thinking about the whole Ohio River Basin, but we have the Ohio River Way and their motivation for creating more things for these small little towns that have some great qualities and history on it. So it's very exciting to work with them. We look at the small towns, but we look also at how they relate to the whole Ohio River and all the other many different towns along the Ohio River. So the presentation, this was part of a presentation that I did for the American Society of Landscape Architects, the Kentucky chapter. Four of the students presented with me. One group was very into the water and the idea of clean water, and how can you clean the water from farmland before it hits the river. So they were very into water detention areas, but also thinking about different facilities at different skills. Maybe it's a boat ramp, maybe it's a marina. So they were developing ideas on program elements for each of these different size of facilities. It was another group that got into a lot of they look at a case study about a grant for local businesses to increase local businesses and encourage people to live, work, and play in Milton. So they look at Wakeville, and it was like a program that the government will do for small businesses. If the project is really good, then we'll give you money to get it started. And that pushed them to think about where could this happen and how can we redevelop the downtown Milton to be able to provide some of those opportunities. Then it was another group that was a lot into production and thinking about food and festivals and the riverfront, but in a way that you can enjoy it at all different times of the year, not only summer and spring, but what are the things that we can do in the fall and the winter. They were looking also at models, and if the water gets up higher, then what kind of infrastructure we need to prevent that or to work with the water as the water goes high. And then it was another group that was talking about this connection to the other river. So they call it the Milton Market. So they were thinking, okay, the farmland is at the top, but we're gonna build a market at the bottom, right next to the river. And maybe there is this connection between the two sides of the river where you can showcase what all these counties and cities are producing and are about. So when I did this presentation, at the end of it, they were asking about a few questions. So I forgot to say this. So the first time we presented, the second time when we presented in Milton, we have like 90 people showing up for the presentation. So it was quite overwhelming to see all the interest from Trimble County. And it opened our eyes to say, yeah, this is really good. So you know, the first time we got one article in the newspaper. The second time, we have a few drawings that are showcased on the Ohio documentary, a few more articles in the newspaper. And then somebody asked me, so what's next? So what's next is the future of the Ohio Riverway Studio, and is the group of students that we have here that we're going to be working in Milton, and also a great collaboration with the CEDEC, the Center for Economic Development in Kentucky. And I think that I think is something that is going to push us to maybe do one small town at the time. And then we have the resources that we need for the students. You know, now they're getting paid for doing this work, and we are getting paid for going on a canoe trip for 3 days. And I think that that's an opportunity that is good to have. And I think hopefully it's a good experience for the students and other ones that they're gonna spread the word to others out there on the Ohio River. So I'm very thankful for the opportunity to work with the Ohio Riverway. We said it, we have great collaborators. We have here Dr. Knoll and Melody and Dan and a group of students, which is a very multidisciplinary team. So it's not only landscape architects, but it's also not only landscape architects, but it's also community development, economic development, natural resources, historic preservation, and architecture. So now we have a really nice multidisciplinary group of students, and we'll see what we can do in Maysville this summer. So this is the third day and our first visit to Maysville, and we are all very excited to get things started. So we'll let you know at the end of July. Hopefully they will have the chance then to be able to show what we are producing here.
Carolina, thank you so much for providing that overview. And this is a partnership that we greatly value with the University of Kentucky and all the work that you've done in river communities over the past several years. And we're really looking forward to seeing what you do in Maysville and being a part of that work and growing this partnership. And certainly we didn't give this topic the time that it deserves. And so perhaps we can look at doing a broader webinar later on this summer regarding opportunities to partner with universities and bring that planning and design and economic development expertise to our communities up and down the river. You know, there's certainly work with the University of Kentucky. There's also a partnership we have with the University of Louisville, and we look forward to building additional partnerships with other regional universities such as the University of Cincinnati, Shawnee State, and some of our land grant institutions as well, Ohio State and Purdue University. So just a ton of opportunity there, and something that partnerships that we look forward to deepening and exploring as we move forward. So thank you so much. Okay, it is 10:51. I always get concerned that we're not going to have enough content and jam these things full of content, and then we run out of time. So that's the way it goes. Lesson learned. I wanted to take a moment really quickly to introduce our new travel writer, Jessica Baltzerzen. We're thrilled to have Jessica on board. Jessica will be writing 5 weekend trip itineraries for us and for our river communities up and down the river, and that work has already begun. And so we're so thrilled to have her on board. She's a professional travel writer, a member of the Outdoor Writers Association of America. She's a Cincinnati native. She was an attendee and a volunteer at our summit in Madison, Indiana in October. And so we're so thrilled to have her on board. And I just want to give her a moment or two just to introduce herself and say hello if she would like to do so, just so that everybody knows who she is. And especially, you know, our smaller communities and our tourism bureaus can expect to hear from Jessica in the coming weeks and months as she's continuing to develop these itineraries. So Jessica, I'll turn it over to you just for a moment if you have anything to add.
Yeah, hi everyone. As Mark said, I'm Jessica. I'm super excited to be writing about all of these river towns. I grew up in Cincinnati and I'm actually moving back to Cincinnati, but I currently live in California. So I flew out a few weeks ago to travel up and down the Ohio to experience some of your amazing towns firsthand. And it's just been really super fun writing about these. So thank you to those who I have reached out to. You've given me awesome direction, and I will be reaching out to some more of you as well. And yeah, these I believe will live on the Ohio Riverway website, and they'll be stocked with photos and visuals and really showcase all that Ohio River towns have to offer. As of now, 2 out of the 5 itineraries are complete, and then the other ones are in progress and hoping to get these published sometime in the summer. So yeah, looking forward to having these out in the world.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Fantastic. All right. So we have about 7 minutes left. I want to try to give a few minutes to Dr. David Wicks just to give a quick overview of our upcoming Ohio Riverway Challenge from June 1st through June 11th. And then I'm also hoping to give just a few minutes to Paul as well to give us a brief overview of the Orville Project and their new history and innovation resources library and website. So we're going to try to hit on those in the last few minutes here.
Well, thank you,
David.
Mark. And just to jump right in, we do start June 2nd up there in Portsmouth. It's an exciting time. We are being joined with students from Shawnee State who will paddle on down. They're also having the P-Town float that Sunday morning. And so come and join us for the dedication of their new ramp right there. We paddle on down to Vanceburg and have a wonderful dinner at Carrie Cagle's place and camping right there. They're excited because they're interested in seeking to purchase Lock House right there in Vanceburg and have that be a Ohio River Museum. Then we go on down to Maysville, and in Maysville, we are joined with University of Kentucky folks who you just heard from. They're going to participate in a nice conference called the Kentucky Museum and Heritage Conference, hosted by Maysville, and we'll be showing the documentary, This is the Ohio, in the Russell Theater. And then that next morning, we jump in the boats with all the UK students and paddle on down to Augusta to the Rosemary Clooney house where we stay and meet with Heather French and Steve Henry and have a wonderful dinner in the Beehive. And then we paddle on down the next day to New Richmond and with Mary and have dinner in downtown New Richmond and paddle across the river afterwards and go to Thomas More Biological Field Station. Up the next morning and meet Brewster Rhodes right there about 11:15 for a press conference and lunch at his boat club, not his boat club, but the oldest boat club on the Ohio River. And we paddle on down to Gilday, and that's where most people switch over then. And we'll have another crew. Many thanks to Envirome and the Institute. We have support to have U of L students join us, and we'll paddle on down and past Lawrenceburg and stay in Rising Sun, and then down to Vivi the next day, where we're hosted by the fire departments. They cook us dinner every night or every time. Just a wonderful adventure. Then we paddle on down to Madison, and we have pizza lunch early or pizza dinner early. And that difference is that we paddle then to Payne Hollow, and we'll be the first group to sleep at Payne Hollow, camp out in there in a new campground that we're slowly developing. And that'll be arranged by boat traffic, and they'll carry all of our luggage over there. And then we go down to Westport and have dinner there and have a very nice, interesting deal where we'll go to one of the islands in the Ohio River. It wasn't mentioned much about the ecological restoration plan, but there's a whole move to think about the islands in the Ohio River. And so we're hosted by Allie Bingham and her husband, Steve Wilson, to camp on 18 Mile Island. Then the next morning, we hop in the boats and paddle on down to Louisville, where hopefully by 2 o'clock, we'll have a press conference with Mayor Greenberg and a variety of our elected officials, and University of Kentucky students are going to be joining us as well. So they'll come on down, and we'll have U of L folks. And so, you know, I say all these things because you're all welcome to join us. You know, our 3 big events is the kickoff, and then in Cincinnati, and then in Louisville. But each one of these spots, we'd love to have other people join us. Dinner is on your own if you want to do that. You know, our trip is paying for, or fees, paying for all the meals, but we have some great meals. But you know, this trip is made special by those interactions between the paddlers and that. One final piece that we're doing this year that hopefully will extend next year and beyond is to start the collection of undergraduate and graduate research projects along the Ohio River. And so we'll have probably 20 or 25 students paddle with us, and one of their jobs is to think about what research they would really like to get involved with, be it ecological, community development, or you know, the impact of recreation on human health. So all sorts of possibilities. We're really looking forward to it. I did put in the chat. We have a nice theme this year called the Load of Knowledge. So in 1826, a crew of folks floated down the Ohio River to bring science and education to the Ohio River Valley. So if you want to check it out, there's a nice link in there that gives a sort of an overview of it. There's more than your fair share of academic research on that whole process. My little report, Mark.
Thank you, David. That's fantastic. So we have a few things that have popped up in the chat that I just want to emphasize real quick. And Dr. Tincati, we will need to focus on the Orville History Project at our next meeting, but I think that you have dropped the website into the chat here, I do believe, but we want to give that the time that it deserves. And unfortunately, we just didn't get to it in this meeting. But if you did have a 30-second quick review that you wanted to give, or otherwise we can just hold off until next meeting.
Well, we'll hold off to next meeting.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, sir. Let's see, a quick note from our friends at Tri-State Trails. Brad, thank you for dropping this in the chat. This is big news. After nearly 2 decades, Great Parks of Hamilton County took ownership of a 5-mile stretch of the Oasis rail line along the Ohio River with plans to build a trail to connect the Lunken Airport to downtown Cincinnati. That is a huge, huge deal. So thank you for reminding us of that development. That is a really big deal. We are at 11 o'clock. I wanted to give a few minutes or a minute here to Brewster just to say hello to a few folks that have jumped on the call here before we wrap up.
Well, thanks, Mark, and greetings from Italy here. My daughter's getting married this weekend, so but I'm just with you like normal. So anyway, there are some really wonderful folks who represent or are elected officials on the call. Just wanted to give a shout out to them and thank them for joining us. And Alex Scharfeder is with Congressman Wenstrup's office. We've been working closely with him on a special grant opportunity, and just really appreciate Alex and the congressman's commitment to this project. Commissioner Darrell Gray from Brown County is on. I just appreciate you joining us. Brown County just got money for projects in Ripley and in Higginsport. They're really rocking it. Judge Executive Owen McNeil from Mason County is on the call, and he's been a real dedicated advocate to the work that we're all doing, and very engaged with the work that Maysville is involved in. Representative Al Gentry, a member of the legislature from Louisville in Kentucky, is with us, and I really appreciate him joining us. I point out, of course, our wonderful mayor of Bellevue, Charlie Cleaves, who's been so engaged with us. And then also Ken Recton is with us today. Ken, thank you for joining us, with a member of the Newport, Kentucky City Commission. Ken, thanks so much. He's been very involved in their project to renovate their park right there. at the confluence of the Ohio and the Licking. And then finally, New Richmond is well represented by members of their village council, Mary Allen, who's on our board, Larry Pruse, and Dennis Dalton. So New Richmond is in the house big time, and we really appreciate their engagement, and congratulations once again to their grant. So there may be other elected officials I somehow missed. I apologize. I already talked to that West Point Mayor Richard Cerisi is on the call, and he's been with us for a long time. And thank you, Richard. It's always good to see you. So just wanted to point that out. I'm sorry if I missed anybody. If I did, put your name in the chat, and thank you.
Well, listen, thank you all so much for joining. We are at time, and so we will end the official formal component of our coalition meeting now. But again, thank you all for all the good news and all of the updates, for everybody that presented today, and for dropping all the additional information into the chat. A lot of good things going on. We will stay on here for another 10 or 15 minutes, just as we typically do, as kind of a water cooler chat. And so if folks want to stick around, ask any questions or share any additional good news, we certainly welcome that. Otherwise, thank you again for your support, and for your time this morning. We really do appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'm Catherine Bailey, the village administrator from New Richmond. Glad to be a part of Ohio Riverways. Thrilled we've got our new grant. Lots of great things are happening both in New Richmond and on the Ohio River. So thank you all.
Catherine, it's good to have you with us. That's just wonderful.
Thrilled
Thank
to be
you.
here.
Brewster and Mark we're hearing a lot about the Ohio River, the roots, the new tall stacks. Are we in contact with them? Because we could probably help them out a lot on the history end.
Rick, Mark, do you want to respond?
So we are absolutely in touch with Rick Rywey, and the work that they are doing. And I don't know if Rick is still on the call or not. I think that he was on earlier, but we are certainly in communication with Rick and the work that they're doing, and look forward to staying engaged with their work. And yes, I agree. There's definitely opportunity for partnership and collaboration there.
And Mark, before we all get off the call, I just wanted to maybe have you point out what we're doing with the two books that Lynn Fuller has donated to us.
Yes, thank you, Brewster, for the reminder. Lynn Fuller is donating 2 of her books to 2 lucky recipients of today's call. And so we will be doing a random drawing following this call, and we'll be following up with the 2 winners of these books. So stay tuned.
These are what they look like here.
And they're all about how to manage successful events, something that every one of us up and down the river can make use of. That's for sure.
Yes. Perfect.
See you guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody like to hang out? We'll be here for another 15 minutes.
How
Water
do we
cooler
get that
time.
resource? Where's that available? That the one he just showed?
Hey, Lynn, would you be able to put in the chat your website and how people can get your book beyond those?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
I'll quickly share that they're available on Amazon and at major booksellers, but I know Amazon is available, and then you can also get some through their Kindle e-reader.
And can you type the title so we can look it up, please?
Secrets to Successful Events: How to Organize, Manage, and Promote Successful Events and Festivals. It's
Great.
a mouthful. You can search my last name and it'll come up.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Type it in and make it easier for folks if you don't mind.
All
That's
right.
great. Thank you very much, Lynn.
I wanted to see if Michael Miller was still on, because Mike, I'm interested in an initiative of the Ohio River Way to explore the islands in the Ohio River. And one of the pieces that, and what we're really trying to do is to think about the islands in the Ohio River National Wildlife Refuge with U.S. Fish and Wildlife. And currently it ends in Maysville, and we would like to see it expand down to the rest of the river, as well as purchase the other islands that have not been purchased in the upper stretch. And so I'm looking for some help in thinking about the ecological value and sort of finding the past research that documents the ecological value of islands and rivers that could sort of help U.S. Fish and Wildlife and help our entities that are going to ask the U.S. Fish and Wildlife consider a expansion proposal. So I know so much of this work has been done already, but not to put you on the spot, Mike, or Jerry, Forrest has been done a great job in really identifying some of the ownership and the states, you know, how many islands are in each state. And it really is a group effort. I guess Michael's not on anymore.
No. And the short answer is they are almost all in Kentucky, but they border a bunch of different states.
So if anybody else has interest in the in that research of sort of the ecological value of islands, let me know. Maybe it could be a job of the Conservation Committee.
Interesting idea. I'll add it to my list. I have a question unrelated. Do you guys have a template? And Mark, maybe you sent it to me. I didn't see it. The template for Cora for the judge executives. Is there something? Is there like a draft template for the resolution right now?
Yeah, we sure do.
Can...
Yeah, so we were in touch with Sherry Mahan from the Department of Local Government, and she provided us a template resolution. And we did share that in an initial email to the judge executives up and down the river. But we will certainly can share that with you and pass that along.
That'd be great. I'm meeting with him anyway, so if I can have that, that'd be great.
Wonderful. Thank you, Christy.
Okay.
You know, Mark, I think it'd be interesting to sort of look at the 25 counties and see how our membership falls out in there and send things just like what, you know, Christy's asking for. So when they meet with the county judge, they have all the information they need. You know, part of it, Christy, is also on the website. Forrest wrote a very nice blog on that, and maybe Forrest, you want to put a link into the chat for that.
Yeah, sure. Well, how about I email that to you, Christy?
Perfect. Yes. Anything you guys can send me is great. And if you already sent it to me and I missed it, I apologize because that's also very possible.
Mark, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What was the lady's name over at DLG? Sherry
Mahan.
Okay. Very good. I'm having lunch with Steve Pendry at Campbell County on next week.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Yeah, I can always reach out to Chris Knockelman and John Stanton here too. I live in Kenton, so I'm happy to help with both.
Oh, I do too.
It would be really great to have our, you know, we need 11 county judges. And, you know, I'm always enthusiastic of saying how important it is. And if we can get that done in the first month, it'd be a great thing for us to have this thing get initiated sooner than later.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So another piece, Mark and I attended the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Ohio River Basin Inspection Tour. And basically it is the commanding general from the Great Lakes and the 4 districts of the Ohio River. We have an annual event, and this year it was in Louisville. And the first day focused on the Ohio or focused on recreation. And there was a very good presentation about the future of Jeff Boat in southern Indiana, a very good presentation on Origin Park, both that are multi-million-dollar projects. Then in the afternoon, Mark did a very good presentation on the overview of it, and it was followed up, or the overview of the Ohio River Way, and it was followed up by the Army Corps of Engineers take on recreation. And so they have their issues, you know, their support for recreation is decreasing, and it has not kept with inflation in any way, shape, or form. And they're looking at, you having more partnerships with the recreational facilities. You know, they're more, they have more on-water recreation than anybody else. The interesting piece for me is they do have a new Ohio River Ranger whose job it is to facilitate recreation at all locks and dams on the Ohio River in the Louisville district. There's also a similar person in the Huntington district. And so the guy in the Louisville district, Tyler, he was not there. His boss was there, and his boss's boss was there. And it would be a perfect thing for us to, you know, as we develop our guide, to really interact with those folks to get the official role. And they were very interested.
Hey, Mark, just quickly, I really apologize, but I now see that County Commissioner David Painter from Claremont County is on the call. I think he has been on the call. I'm sorry I missed it. He's been extremely helpful to us, advocating in a variety of ways. So Commissioner Painter, thank you so much for joining us. Just wanted to point that out. He's in the house. Back to you.
All right, folks, any other additional updates or comments, questions that folks have?
So Mark and Brewster, I sent you a email, but I'll just kind of raise this with the group. There seems to be a fair number of Ohio River dock projects, you know, on the planning board or to be built here in the very soon future. Would there be any interest in trying to do a focus group meeting with the various communities that are facing this challenge? I've been doing some work on the Ripley dock, and we've learned a lot about there are best practices for an Ohio River dock because you're dealing with an environment that's not very favorable to trying to do a dock. So I don't know. I'll throw it out there to see what people think.
I think it's a wonderful idea, Joe. This past week, Forrest and I met with the chief planner for the Louisville district, all the way down to the Mississippi, as well as the chief regulatory officer, just about this topic. There's a facility down in southwestern Louisville called Farnsley Mormon House that, you know, had been built 20 years ago, and it's in terrible shape. And so they're looking at a PAS project to, you know, do an examination of that total area. And so I think it'd be a fascinating piece to really get all those dock projects and find a regulatory officer and have a discussion with, you know, the 10 or 12 ones. I think it'd be fascinating.
Yeah, because there's been some things that I've seen during this the conversation today with Lawrenceburg about a diverter. I would love to hear what the thoughts are on that, about does that actually divert the debris away from the dock or not? Because that is a constant challenge with the Ohio River, especially during season, about how to keep that debris away from docks. And it's going to happen. You can't stop it. It's just part of the, you know, the risk you have to assume on the Ohio River.
So listen, if I just weigh in, I think, Joe, would be a great idea to do that. And Mark, we can talk about it later, but I think bringing together, having a special webinar or, you know, one meeting, you know, with by Zoom with folks who are doing those projects to share their perspectives on best practices would be very helpful. Good idea.
Yeah, I mean, we could potentially do a webinar. I'm sure Board Safe would be interested in doing a webinar on best practices and bringing in all of the communities that have potential dock projects. I think that could be a great partnership opportunity.
Excellent.
Now, and I'll just share one thing here. One thing I've heard during this process of trying to gather information is the original concept I kept hearing is this is going to be a maintenance-free dock. There's no such animal on the Ohio River. So you try to do the best practices to reduce the maintenance as much as possible, but you're probably still going to have to do some things with it because the Ohio is not, it just doesn't work well with fixed structures. So, but it's a great place to boat. So.
And I see that Cindy Bellar is here with ODNR. She's a top watercraft, you know, the law enforcement kind of officer person for boating regulations. And so maybe we can get Cindy, somebody from ODNR, to join us as well. That'd be helpful. And maybe Indiana DNR as well.
Okay, very good.
I think one place to actually hold the meeting would be up there at the Ohio River Launch Club, because you have one of the probably the best deflection devices out there for any marina on the river, and that's that barge.
Which is leaking.
Well, it
Jerry-
used to be one of the best then.
Jerry, I brought that concept up a couple times, and from an aesthetic standpoint, it doesn't pass mustard for a lot of places. And they just don't like this idea about this gigantic barge sitting out in the front of your docks.
I agree 100%.
But
Absolutely.
it works wonderfully. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, it's not a pretty thing, but it's effective.
And you know, I'll just share this real quick, and then we can hop off. But the docks down in Paducah are claimed to be one of the better places to dock on the Ohio River. But they've got these gigantic spud poles. And when you start talking about riverfront development, the aesthetics start coming in low. We don't want those big poles on our riverfront, but that may be the design that works the best. So it's this balance you have to kind of figure out at some point. So,
well, I see that Rick
Absolutely.
Jansen's on. I see Rick Jansen from Ironton's on the call, and Rick has a lot of experience in Lawrence County with these projects. And so, Rick, it'd be good to have you on that meeting. And it may not be possible to do it in person, but the efficient way to do it is by Zoom. But regardless, Rick, you should be in that meeting.
I would love to be a part of it, and we are trying to encourage every community along the river, starting up at Pittsburgh, on the municipality side, this practice of pushing woody debris back into the water once the flood and the water is receded a little bit. That has to stop. It's so much easier to maintain when it's on dry ground instead of people taking the easy way out, getting a big loader and pushing it all back out in the water and all the trash going with it. So we are going to try to find a way to get everybody to contribute. So hopefully when we get down towards Cincinnati and Louisville, you guys are getting a much cleaner product from upriver. And I've seen it happen here. I've seen it happen in numerous communities where the municipal workers just get in a big loader and push it right back out in the waterway. That has to stop.
Rick, I'm 100% in agreement. I think that's a great initiative. You know, it's really reducing the flotsam that is in our river.
I agree. Okay, thanks. I'm going to have to hop off, guys. Thanks for doing this, Mark.
Thank you, Joe.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.
All right,
Good
folks.
Go find your
Have a
daughter.
great day. If any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Look forward to being in touch soon.
Mark,
Thanks, everybody.
Mark, this is Larry Branstetter, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Whereabouts in Louisville are you located?
I am in the Highlands in Deer Park neighborhood.
Okay. What do you have an office down there somewhere? Or?
No, we don't really have an office per se. I do have a drop-in space down at the Health Sciences campus with the University of Louisville at the Envirom Institute on Muhammad Ali. But I would be happy to, if you wanted to meet up for a coffee at a coffee shop or lunch or something like that, we could most certainly do that.
Let's do that. I was involved with this many years ago. I can't remember the woman's name who was kind of the executive director up here in Cincinnati. And then I believe she retired or took another job.
Pat Tim?
Yes, I think that's who it was. And we were trying to upgrade the river walk around Covington, Newport, and Cincinnati. Did well with Covington and Newport, but just drew some blanks when we crossed the river. And I moved on to other things, and then she left, and so I've been disassociated. But now I used to live in Lexington. Now I live in Covington at River Terrace, and I can see the river out my living room window and bedroom windows, and I'm about 150 feet from the edge of the water, right by the suspension bridge. So now we live here permanently and interested in what you're doing. So.
Well, thank you, Lawrence. I appreciate that. And one actually agenda item that we had to cut. Unfortunately, Will Weber from South Bank Partners was not able to make it today, but we hope to have him on a future coalition call to talk a little bit about the Riverfront Commons project, which is going to be a 20-mile multi-use pathway connecting DeVue Park near Ludlow all the way to Pendery Park, I believe, in Fort Thomas. And so. Yeah, we're looking forward to receiving an update from him on that project, but that may be of interest to you.
Well, we're doing a park at the confluence of Licking River and Ohio River that Corporex is doing. And
Yes.
I just wanted to talk to our people here at Branstead or Carroll about interfacing with some of the right people, maybe starting with you guys at Ohio River Way, and maybe you can send us in a direction or recommend some other people to talk to, just to get some conversation back and forth and not operate in a vacuum.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd be happy to connect. And Lawrence, do you have my email, mark@ohioriverway.org?
You say it's mark@ohioriverway.org?
Yes, MARK.
Oh, Mark, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and actually, it'd be great to have you as part of that webinar as well, since you're in the process of working with the city of Newport to design that project. That's fantastic. Is that what I understand you to say, Lawrence?
Yes, I'm not sure how much involvement the city of Newport has, and I still don't quite understand the structure of the project. But I think they got $8 million from the General Assembly here a month ago, and then Bill Butler at Corporex has an involvement with this thing, and we do a lot of work for him. And we've done just about everything along the river here at Ovation and Newport on the levee and all that stuff. So that's kind of.
Yeah, Jen Shepard is on the call still right now. You know Jen, right? Have you been working with her? She's an active volunteer in the community who's been mobilizing people who care about paddle sports and want to see that that park properly developed so that it can be used for canoers and kayakers as well.
Right.
So it might be good. Jen, maybe she may have just jumped off. Oh, here she is. Go ahead, Jen.
I did, yeah. just jumped on, and Lawrence, I just wrote down your information. I'll put my email in the chat. Yes, because I'm working actively with the city of Newport to work on that whole area, the confluence of the Ohio and the Licking River, and parks development, all of that. So I will put my email in there, and we'll get connected.
Okay, and Jen, now you're with who?
So I'm just an individual. I'm a resident.
Okay.
And I'm just working on this to make this happen.
But Jen's been working very closely with Ken Recton and other members of the commission and the city manager and others there, Lauren. So she's deeply involved.
Yes, all of the city of Newport, the mayor, the city manager, Tom Fromey, the commissioners, they're all very aware of what I'm doing.
Good.
And we haven't officially announced it yet, but it'll be coming. We were part of applying for a National Park Service River Trails and Conservation Assistance grant, and we just got word last Friday that we got it.
Whoa!
Yes. I just announced it at the commissioners meeting Monday night, and we've got to work on the process to get it out there officially to everyone, get the word out there. So we're super excited about that.
Well, Jen, by the way, we all do, and Forrest is on the call, and Mark, it would be good if we could share the good news when you decide it's appropriate to go more public on our Facebook page and in our next newsletter. But that's just huge. Way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I agree. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Jen, thank you, and look forward to meeting you.
Yes.
I just live downriver from the on the Covington side, from the confluence of the two rivers at Licking in Ohio.
Okay. Yeah. And I live in Newport. I've been here about 6 years and immediately saw a need for water access, safe water access and development, just to improve the park systems on the waterfront.
Right. Well, we've got a lot of things to talk about. I was on Newport Planning Commission for 8 years.
Okay.
In the late 80s and early 90s, when we were putting all this business together with the levee project and Riverboat Row, and it turned into Ovation, and so it kind of goes on and on. But anyway, I look forward to talking to you.
Okay. Yeah, I will put my email in the chat, and we'll get
right
connected.
now because we're going to. But I see that Commissioner Painter's face is on the screen. It's great to see you. Thank you very much for joining. Do you have any advice or feedback? I really appreciate you joining this call.
No, keep in mind, I always keep my finger in the pulse to see if there's anything I can do to that. I'm very, very close to anything that involves the Ohio River Way, having grown up in New Richmond, Ohio, and actually was down on the river last night. So, I don't get too far from it.
Well, I've been working with Dennis and his colleagues to explore at their request the opportunity to figure out, is there a way with Skipper's gone that they can have a transient dock that allows boaters to dock and go spend money in town, right?
Yep.
And so, you know, I've been meeting with a number of folks from different marinas to see what extra stuff they have around they might be able to lease to the city, to the village. And so Dennis is the point person for that. So, and the
Yeah, I
advice,
don't,
yeah.
there's been no time in my existence at living in New Richmond for 66 years that there hasn't been a dock down there. You know, to tie off on, to get fuel at, to, you know, this is the first time ever. Now, there have been times when the dock was damaged or, you know, there was repairs or, you know, they had to switch out a hull, that kind of stuff. Yeah, there were times like that, never a time when there was none.
Well, one marina owner who is thinking about what he might have to lease to New Richmond from his inventory said, here's the problem. Once people stop going to New Richmond by boat, it's hard to get them back.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously you've seen the governor's grant there that obviously comes to New Richmond for Liberty Landing. You know, that's a $13 million project. And,
oh, yeah,
you know, I'm watching that very closely because, yeah, a $13 million project is a big project, you know, and it takes lots of people who are well versed in construction techniques and project management to be able to put that money to the, you know, to the ground and actually bring in a project like that. So, I mean, that's really the big next phase of that is, you know, you got to have a team to go do it.
Great. Well, thanks for all your support.
You
I'm
bet.
sorry, Mark.
Well,
I'm done.
If
Yeah.
you'll excuse me, I'm going to have to exit.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Okay, thank you.
Brewster, I will, it's Dennis.
Oh, yeah.
I will let you know very quickly about those docs, but I believe that was very much right in line with what Larry and I discussed would be ideal.
Okay.
So,
good. Okay, I'll keep working on it from Italy. No problem.
thank you.
And
Thank
folks,
you. Thank you, Mark. Good job.
Yeah, no, thank you all. And if anybody wants to stick around, go for it. I need to hop over to an 11:30 meeting, but thank you all so much for sticking around.
Great. Time for a beer. Bye-bye.
See you, Brew.
I like it.
Take care, Jim. Good to see you, buddy.